Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to solve quadratic equations by factorization method. Remember, we have several methods which you can use to solve quadratic equations, but in this video we're going to look at how you can factorize a quadratic equation using factorization method. But before we go into that, we have to know what a quadratic equation is. So a quadratic equation is an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, which is equals to 0. Okay, so it has the highest power of 2, and it has a constant which is c there, where c is a constant. C is a whole number or an integer. Okay, so whenever you come across this kind of equation which is raised to the power, the highest power is 2, just know that it is a quadratic equation, and you can solve this kind of equation by factorization method, by using a formula, or by completing the square. Okay, so I have examples here. Let's look at how we can solve this kind of equation. So my example says solve the following equations. Like the first example says x squared minus 3x, which is equals to 0 there. And then the second equation says x squared plus 7x equals to 0. And then the last question says 2x squared minus 2x is equals to 0. So I'm going to show you how you can solve this equation step by step. Okay, so let's solve the first equation. You see, so the first equation, which is x squared minus 3x equals to 0. Okay, so solve this equation. What do you do first? Look at these two terms which are here. We have x squared and we have 3x. Okay, so it is factorization. Under factorization, we have to look for a term which is common on both sides of these terms. So here we have x, which is common because it is found on both sides of those terms. Okay, so we have x, so write that x here. After that, open a bracket and then say this x which is here divided by that x which is there. Okay, so we are going to have x here. Remember, x is squared divided by x, so we are going to remain with the x. That's where this x here is coming from. From there, put the sign which is the minus sign, then say the same x which is here into 3x. We are going to have 3, then close the bracket, which is equals to 0 here. Okay, so here we have x which is equals to 0, and then we have x minus 3 which is in the bracket is also equal to 0. So what you do here, you simply get the x which is outside the bracket and then say that x is equals to 0, and then or the x minus 3 which is in the bracket is also equal to 0, so that x minus 3 is equals to 0 as well. Okay, so we are going to have two solutions of x here. Remember, I have already found the value of x, the first value of x, which is x is equals to 0 here, and then let's also find another value of x, which is x minus 3 is equals to 0. So let's simplify. Let's solve this equation which is here so that we find the other value of x. Okay, so to solve this one, we are going to say x is equals to 0. Then when this 3 crosses the equal sign, it will be positive, so it will be plus 3. Okay, so from there, x is equals to 0 plus 3 to be 3. So the two values of x x is equals to 3 and x is equals to 0. So x is equals to 0 there, and here x is equals to 3. So those are the two values of x. Okay, so we have solved that equation. So let's see another question, which was saying x is squared plus 7x equals to 0. Okay, so we're going to do the same. We look for a term which is common. In this case is x. So we're going to write it here. X plus, we open the bracket first. Then we say x into that x squared which is there, which is here. We are going to have x. Then we put the sign, which is the plus sign. Then we say x into 7x. We are going to have 7 here. Close the bracket, which is equals to 0. As usual, we do the same. We are going to say this x which is here outside the bracket is equals to 0. So we're going to have x is equals to 0, or x plus 7 is equals to 0 as well. So we're also going to find two solutions of x here. Okay, so the first value of x, we have found it, which is 0. Then let's look for the second value of x. So we have to solve this equation here. So to simplify this equation, we're going to have x is equals to 0. So when this 7 crosses the equal sign, to be negative 7 here. Okay, then from there x will be equals to 7, negative 7. So 0 minus 7 is negative 7. So this is the value of x. Okay, so let's solve the last equation. The last equation was saying 2x squared minus 2x equals to 0. 2x squared minus 2x is equals to 0. So here let's look for the common term on both sides. We have 2x and 2x squared and 2x. So the common variable here is x. But we also have 2. Okay, we also have 2. So 2 is also found on both sides of those terms. So we are going to write it here as well. So common term here is 2x. So we open the bracket. We say 2x into that 2x squared there. 2x squared divided by 2x. We are going to have x here. And then 2x divided by 2x. We are going to have 1 here. We close the bracket. Say equals to 0. Okay, so we do as usual. We're going to say 2x is equals to 0. Then x minus 1 is equals to 0 as well. So 2x is equals to 0, or that x minus 1 which is there, which is here, is also equal to this 0 which is there. So x minus 1 is equals to 0 as well. So we have to solve this equation. So the first value of x, let's first find the first value of x, which is 2x minus 2x is equals to 0. So we're going to divide by 2 here, divide by 2, so that we find the value of x here. So the value of x here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times that x, it will be x. 0 divided by 2, we're going to have 0 here. So the first value of x is 0. So let's work out this other equation so that we find the other value of x. So here we're going to have x, which is equals to 0. So when this negative 1 crosses the equal sign, to be positive 1 here. So x here in this case will be equals to 1. Okay, will be equals to 1. So the values of x are x is equals to 0 and x is equals to positive 1. Okay, thanks for watching. That's how you can solve quadratic equations by factorization method. Remember, we're going to have two values of x. Don't forget how you can solve this.